absolute Knicks streets. We're buzzing as the Knicks pick up their first dub in preseason, 99-84. First game of 2 in Abu Dhabi. Let's get ready to break this thing down, man. We're going to give out a game ball tonight. Right, we won't give out the full grades, but we'll break down the highlights, what stood out to us, what stood out to you, and obviously we'll look ahead to game 2 against Philly again at another crazy hour, fam. So welcome into the prime time post game. Everyone's just getting off work. Maybe you missed it, but plenty to break down, ladies and gentlemen, as the Knicks pick up their first dub. And we're going to roll the highlights, ladies and gentlemen, as the New York Knicks controlled the game, extended rotation, and Mike Brown wanted to give everyone a look in this one. Let's go through our standouts, and we'll look at the box score and obviously shout you guys out, man, all stream long. Welcome in to the post game with CT. You got the streets buzzing. Smash that like button if you enjoy the content and subscribe to the channel, man. Rock out with us all season long. And no doubt, man, it's going to be a fun ride this season. So the Knicks here, 99-84, controlled the game, right? The first quarter was quite even, 25 apiece. It was quite, a slow, sloppy start. But the New York Knicks in the second quarter and the third quarter got that separation. And look, the three-point shooting percentage wasn't great, but the New York Knicks were moving the ball. They were making an effort to obviously get up and down faster, but in a limited sample with the starters, right? So OG Anunoby missed this one with a hand sprain. So we don't really know how serious it is, but, no one really seems to be keying in on that too much. So hopefully it's nothing too crazy. But a hand sprain, OG Anunoby sat out, and Pacome Dardier got the start, right? So there's a lot of talking points there, which we'll hit on. He could have gone Hart, he could have gone another guy, but Pacome Dardier got the start. And obviously also Josh Hart, unfortunately, hurt his back 7 minutes into the game, man. They say it was an ejection. He got into it with a ref, with an opponent. He wasn't happy with the knock that Josh Hart got. So he, had to get taken out of the game, man, after 7 minutes. So Hart tweeted out something saying that he's in quite a lot of pain. So we're hearing a back sprain at this point. So we'll follow up and see if there's an update later tonight. Right. But Mitchell Robinson, man, 16 rebounds, was a key standout, right? There was another player, though, that stood out even more, and he is Miles Deuce McBride, ladies and gentlemen. And he's going to get the game ball tonight. We'll talk more about Deuce, but you see his shot chart. Deuce was excellent, was efficient, 12 points, getting to his spots. Man, he looked in mid-season form, did Deuce McBride. So he gets the first game ball of the season, man. And he's like, hey, don't forget about me, right? I heard my name in some trade talk, but now y'all can throw that out into the trash because Deuce McBride had an excellent game, lead top scorer with 12 points. We'll take a look at the box score in a minute. But as I say, basically, it was a real extended rotation, and Mike Brown wanted to get everyone that made that travel, the trip all the way to Abu Dhabi, he wanted to get them some minutes, right? So the starters didn't play a hell of a lot. You see the wire to wire. The Knicks were in a small deficit first quarter, like I said. Second quarter, got control, went up by about 10. The lead fluctuated in the second quarter, got control back at halftime and never looked back, right? We had our first look at Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson, right? Nothing to write home about. I thought Brogdon looked comfortable, obviously as a seasoned vet. He was making good reads. Clarkson was a little inefficient tonight. Like I said, we'll take a look at the box score. The Knicks get 19 assists. But the fast break points, as I say, a key staple of what we're going to see is up and down, more second chance points. The Knicks forced 13 steals, which is great. Obviously, 23 second chance points, 24 fast break points was one of the major keys for me. And as we pull up the highlights once again, and we continue to shout you guys out tonight. Welcome in Shez V, Ernest, Johnny, Daniel Berry, Julian, J Dragon, El Tango, and Nick's one today. What's up, fam? Great to see y'all. Let us know what stood out to you. J Dragon says, all the way, baby, we're back. Julian says, salute to CT, no more Tibbs stagnant offense. And I'm loving the movement. Yeah, you know, small sample so far, but, you know, we are definitely going to see a more democratic offense, fam. Ernest says, I must start off by saying, man, Dardier is trash. Wow. Coming out with some heat early. So, yeah, let's start there. So, Dardier got the start, right? He was inefficient. But the fact that he got that first look, as I roll up the box score right now, right? Dardier got the start, only played 15 minutes, went 1 of 6, 0 of 5, though, from downtown. So, look, if he wants to force his way into this rotation with a new coach, definitely feel like he needs to knock down some of those open threes that he missed. And now he did get to the line 3 times, 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers, though, and finished with a +3, right? So every player was in the plus except for the extended mop-up duty guys at the end of the game, right? I thought Shamet, you know, +12, he looked strong in his minutes. Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride, to me, were the key standouts. I also really need to give an honourable shout-out to Huck Porty and to Garrison Matthews. I thought they took their opportunities on the situational front. So the situational front, Ariel Huck-Porty and Garrison Matthews, you know, looked in control, efficient, and very productive. Garrison Matthews, 3 of 4 from downtown, right? So is he playing his way ahead of Landry Shamet? We will continue to highlight that tonight, guys. How are you guys feeling? Moogie says, Mitch 16 rebounds first half. You know, we're giving the shout out to Deuce, but we also could give an honourable game ball to Mitch because, yeah, he absolutely dominated on the glass too. I put him in the category, fam, that you can't win a chip yesterday in our MVP rankings. Check that out if you haven't already. I feel like the Knicks can't win a championship without Mitch because he's just so key, man. Dominating the glass. He's elite at his skill set. +5, finished with 7 points as well, right? Had a couple of nice finishes, 3 of 6. And Mitch is usually always efficient. Now, Yabusele looked strong defensively, in my opinion, but couldn't get on the score sheet in 12 minutes. Finished 0 of 3 from downtown and 0 of 4 from the field, right? So a slower start from JC and from Yabu. JC was a little inefficient, but I would have liked to JC to get some assists. Jordan Clarkson finished with no assists, but I think Brogdon looked, you know, a lot more comfortable in his role. But I mean, man, Mitchell Robinson shout out. Brunson top assist with 4. Brogdon got a block, and Dominic Barlow, I thought for Philadelphia, got 10 rebounds. I thought he obviously is trying to make you know, a name for himself. I like Dominic Barlow coming up. I think VJ Edgecombe, 14 points. Tyrese Maxey with 14 points, right? But the story is really Pacome Dardier got that start, didn't take that opportunity yet. He's still a young player. You know, is he going to get more opportunities? That's a real thing to watch and keep a lookout too. Yeah, Demario says Knicks rocking that international scene. Yeah, you know, they blasted the music. You know, the crowd was enjoying it. The crowd was into it. Out here rocking out Abu Dhabi, one more game, and then we're going to get back to the Mecca. against Minnesota, Washington, Charlotte, and then the first 2 games of the season against Cleveland and against Boston, right? But so we did let the threes fly, 39 3-point attempts. Mike Brown been talking about trying to get up to 40. So that was something that was no surprise, and I want to see more of that. I thought Kolek looked okay. You see him get into that paint, couldn't finish there as well. But again, Huck Porty looks ready, man. And I think he's going to get real opportunities under Mike Brown, man. If he's not in the 10 man, he's the 11th man, in my opinion. So that's a key takeaway from me, right? And I thought Garrison Matthews, and I've liked Garrison Matthews. I think he brings a real skill set. 58% from the 3-point corner from last season, right? Finished 3 of 4 today, right? In terms of the leaders, Cat, Brunson, right? A quiet start, but here, Cat running the floor. I did notice Cat run the floor a lot better in this one, especially on offense. Clarkson forcing it there a little bit, but gets that tough look as well. And look, JB finished with 4 dimes in a limited spot. The first quarter was 25 apiece, too. Shez V says maybe Brown was trying to showcase the RDA. That could be a part of it too, fam. But I feel like they're trying to get a good look at Dardier first for our benefit. It doesn't hurt that he's going to get showcased. I feel like it's to our benefit to get a good look at Dardier. If OG's out, it's kind of a like-for-like swap. As we welcome everyone in joining us today, primetime post-game. We got the squad this season, and I'm super happy with our depth. Yeah, you take OG out, he didn't want to start hard. Credit to Mike Brown. That would have been the easy ploy. The backup for OG could have been Hart. But no, he said, look, let's get a look at Dardier. Unfortunately, Dardier just couldn't hit those threes. But look, the shot mechanics are great from Dardier. Defensively, he fits in. He fits the bill. Just unfortunate. He just didn't take that opportunity, right? Let's see what happens. I don't think OG is going to play in that next game, man, with a hand sprain. So let's see if he tries something different. Does he try Deuce? I would try Deuce if, like, you got one game with Dardier. Let's say OG can't go in the second one. All right, get a look at Deuce. We already know Hart with the starting lineup. We've got a large sample, from last season. So I would get a look at Deuce starting. But obviously, look, Deuce spark off the bench was incredible. Man, welcome in Prezi the boss. Still Knicks fans. Ron in the building. Fam, great to see ya. And Margaret, salute to everyone, man. Look, Deuce picking up where he left off. So it gave me great pleasure to dial up this graphic for Deuce McBride, man, and shout him out. He's a multi-dimensional player. You see the shot chart. Restricted area bucket, foul line bucket, foul line extended bucket, and a couple of threes. So doing his best to move the defense around. Give Still Knicks fans a shout out and a follow. Great platform and content from our guys Ron and John and fam. Still Knicks fan says, what's good, fam? Salute to the chat. Salute to Nick Streets. CT, I love what I'm seeing with the ball movement. Let's go, Knicks. Yeah, we would have got more assists if some guys could have hit their buckets. Ron. But look, I like Pacome getting an opportunity. That's something that Tibbs wouldn't have done, man. We all know Tibbs would have just gone to the safe, the tried and tested Josh Hart, But you see Pacome with a nice little athletic finish. There, it looks like he's grown an extra inch. I don't know if he's pushing 6'10 now, 6'9, 6'10. He does seem to be filling out, especially in the face. He is a bit more of a man in the face. He was a bit baby face last season, was Pacome. You see Hart following the trail guy, finding Cat running the floor. You love to see those dimes, like Ron said. Apocalypse now says, yeah, Deuce was cooking, man, off the bench. And El Tango is loving what he's seeing from Mitch, being elite on the offensive glass, man. So no Joel Embiid and no Paul George in this one. I don't know their status for the second game, right? If I'm Philly, I'm not even thinking about putting Embiid out there, fam. I'm not even thinking about that. Margaret says, Knicks need to keep the young players. I feel some guys will get hurt. We need Pacome Dardier, we need Kolek and Huck Porty, etc. Yeah, there's something to be said about their energy, what they bring, in terms of the up and down system that Mike Brown, is trying to play. Now, I think it's going to be a nice mix. I don't think the starters personally can run all game, and I wouldn't want them to run all game because Brunson, Cat, they're not those kind of guys, you know. Yeah, Macau, OG, Hart, they run the floor well. Um, Mitch, not a guy you want running the floor all game. So I think he's going to have to, you know, let these guys know that, hey, okay, pick your moments, get back in transition, but save the running and gunning for most of the bench lineups because as long as the half court sets are with ball movement and player movement, I think that's okay. We don't necessarily need to be 7 seconds or less, with Mike D'Antoni throwbacks. Jay Dragon says, I'm watching while I'm listening, watching the highlights while I'm listening to y'all. Let's go, Knicks. Yeah, Gray says, love Pacome's defense early in the game and things to build on. Yeah, I think I'm going to be patient with Pacome Dardier, and I'm certainly wanting to keep him around. But there's no doubt he didn't fully take those opportunities in this one. And look, it's one game. That's okay. He's on the other side of the world right now. In terms of the Knicks shot chart, man, 20% from downtown. So we left a lot of points there. Got to do better at the free throw line again, 65%. Fam, let me see who were some of the culprits. Who left some of their points at the line, fam? Sprint suicides for y'all. So we got the free throw attempts, right? What do we got here? Okay, Brunson, 2 of 4, so he has to clean that up. Macau, 0 of 2. Macau was a culprit last season, missing some of those free throws. Kevin McCullough went 2 of 4 as well. So overall, the team went 21 of 32 from the foul line, but 8 of 39. Right, a lot of them were great looks. Yabusele, he needs to shoot better. 0 of 3. Tyler Kolek, 0 of 2. Landry, 0 of 2 from downtown. JB went 0 of 3. Clarkson missed all of his threes as well. And Pacome Dardier missed 5, right? So not the game you want to tune in if you want to see some 3-point buckets go down. But I think the assists, 19, 13 steals. I think the defense looked good. The bench unit looked good and helped pick us up. I think we did obviously miss OG, who's going to be kind of an MVP caliber player for us this season. Pacome couldn't, quite, make his mark in this one. I thought Kolek is obviously, hearing his name around, but 3 of 7. I thought Kolek looked okay offensively, and I really like what I saw from Huck, and I really, really like what I saw from Garrison Matthews as well. And I'll give Brogdon a pass because I thought, he's not going to jump off the page, but I thought, yeah, Brogdon was quite solid. Pacome says, Margaret says Pacome could be like an Aaron Gordon, has potential. He's got ways to go, but he's super young. Johnny says Mitch looking like a $20 million man. With that said, look, with Mitch, you love the way he plays. He plays hard on both sides, fam. Good to see him get rewarded with 7 points, finishing some buckets, and also dominating the paint, which we love to see from Mitch, right? So a shakier start from some of the new guys with Clarkson and Shamet as well. Garrison Matthews making his claim Still, Nick says, I have to be honest, I would love to see Matthews and Shamit on the team. The shooting we could have with both of them on there reminds me of Miami 3 seasons ago. Yeah, the movement, the player movement is key as well, fam, and the gravity that they pull. Uh, See, a couple of key things that I liked was obviously Brown extending that rotation. Just get a look at everyone. It's the first game. Don't need to play the starters too long. And on that note, Prezi the boss says Matt Ryan and Len will get cut for sure. I want to keep Matthews as well. Don't know how that's going to be done. They did mention that with the trade, we can sign our 15th guy earlier in March. Yeah, correct. So it's going to be tougher to keep Matthews and Shamit because obviously we're going to have to make a trade, and it can't be Kolek if we want to keep Matthews and Shamit. And obviously Brogdon is going to stay. So it's going to have to be someone other than Kolek for us to get our 15th guy earlier in March, like you said. But look, we've got ways to go in camp. This is just one game. We've got 4 more games to go before we have to decide, who's going to get cut. Maybe Shamit just doesn't hit the ground running, and maybe they really have to, think about it. I do think Landry will make it, but nothing's a given in this age. You have to earn your keep. And look, someone else is coming in hungry. As Durf says, keep the young guys. Margaret says Brogdon's 33. His health is in question. I would not trade any young guys for him. Yeah, Brogdon's one of those guys that I just think we should ease into the season. He's a playoff kind of guy, not necessarily a regular season guy. And yeah, he's about to turn 33. So that's a major question, right? Are there some people still out here for Kolek to get a shot? Right. That is an insurance situation to look out for because, look, Clarkson's kind of shown no assists tonight from Clarkson, right? So that was a concern from some Knicks fans that, yeah, Clarkson's an upgrade offensively over campaign. But if he's tunnel vision a little bit and he ain't reading the floor and he ain't finding guys, who's gonna set people up? We want Deuce McBride as kind of that combo guard gunner as well off the bench. You need a point guard. And look, Campaign was up and down, but Campaign is a true point guard. And he did find some guys sometimes as well. So, look, there still is a pathway for Tyler Kolek. Now, Tyler finished with 1 dime, but went 3 of 7 offensively. So not too bad. But obviously the sting was out of the game. Now, among some pleasant surprises, like I said, was Ariel Hukporti and Diawara as well. Now, I haven't mentioned Diawara, right? He flashed again. His great, handle and reading of the floor here. Uses his left, as you see. He's like a blur. Couldn't finish it, but who's there for the Huck smash? It's Ariel Hukporti. And I'm super pleased with Ariel so far. Man, we talk about how dominant Mitch is. It's great to know that we have a capable like-for-like backup. Now, it's a drop-off, but it's a kind of a like-for-like, archetype. But Hukporti got some offensive skill set as well. He's no Jericho Sims. He's able to finish, and he's good on the glass as well. Ready for the putback. I think Mike Brown is going to be pleased with Ariel Hukporti, man. And I think he's the real backup center if Mitch gets the start, right? I don't really want to see Yabusele at the 5 too much. Paula says, even though Dardier didn't score, he fit right in. You can see the length and the defense, but I hope he starts scoring. But I think he looks good. There's always going to be flashes with a guy who's a first-round pick, but can he put it together? Can he, showcase his consistency? Is key. As a pocket Knicks now likes Garrison Matthews as well. Definitely over Matt Ryan. The question is he competing against Shamit? Now we have a super chat Shout out to Jason Benjamin. Great to see you tonight, Jason, and everyone else rocking with us. Please smash the like button if you're enjoying the stream and subscribe to the channel if anyone is new. Jason says, Matthews is a flamethrower. Sheesh. Intriguing. Definitely, man. And I'm not someone who's just jumping on the hype train. I was bigging up Garrison Matthews. I was bigging him up when we actually announced that we're bringing him into camp, Jason, because I took a look at the numbers and I'm like, geesh, 58% from the corner. Yeah, we could do with that. Add him to the mix, even as a situational guy. I mean, you could always do with a knockdown guy for a set play. We all love a set play, man, late in the game, 5-out lineups. Now, Hart, paying props to his teammate, says starter Mitch is different. As a fan said, hold on, Mitchie got 16 bounds in 18 minutes. Now, I want to give Hart a shout out because this guy is potentially a victim of losing a starting spot. But I can't say enough about Josh Hart's leadership and a team-first attitude, because he's bigging up his teammate as Mitch, as a guy who's competing for that starting spot. So shout out to Hart for that. Hart will just do whatever's necessary. Now, one of the plays of the game, great ball movement. Landry hits this one down. But yeah, Kolek keeps his head up, finds the guys, and we get the corner 3 from Garrison, man, on the back of Jason's comment. Number 14, fam. Reminds me of Alonzo Trier wearing that, rocking that. I think Alonzo Trier was 14, fam. But yeah, look at those swings, right? Finding these guys to knock them down, right? So I think, yeah, Kolek actually took a chance, took his opportunities, and I think he'll get some minutes in the second game as well. Shout out Bob. Bob says we have a lot of players with promise. Yeah, it's up to the coach to get the best out of these guys too. So yeah, Hart got ejected, but he was too hurt to actually continue. So it was a mixed situation. It was a play where he took a huge hit and wasn't pleased with that situation. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Matt Ryan's going to go to the G League. Let's bring up that play for Josh Hart. Now y'all can see, and Hart tweeted out, some commentary later tonight as well about, the pain that he's in. So we'll see what happens, man. Was it verbal dissent? I don't know what got Hart ejected, but obviously that's the play. You hate to see it. You hate to see any Nick go down, let alone preseason, right? I think his back just locked up. Twisted his back, and I think he took that little hit lower down, fam. And look, first game when you're going all out, you need to ease yourself back in. Obviously, it's probably been a rigorous training camp, coming into this game. So, yeah, look, hopefully Hart's all good. He needs to sit the second game out, even if he's questionable, and we'll see how the rest of it plays out, fam. Now, I just want to bring up this graphic as well. So the New York Knicks last season had 2 guys among the league's highest in facing number 1 options, right? Wing stop Mikal Bridges and no OG Anunoby tonight. So hopefully, yeah. So this is what Hart basically tweeted out. Man, he's in pain. And rest up to Jay Hart. Margaret says Mitch is the right guy to start. Hart should come off the bench. Yeah, I do think that looks like that's going to be the play. Defensively we were okay. We were more sound. And offensively, it took a while to really get going. I think Deuce McBride came in late in the first, and he just completely changed the game. hit a couple of shots, 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds from Deuce, 2 assists, 3 steals, 12 points, team high 12 points, plus 11 as well. Ariel finished team high in the plus 13 as well. So once again, man, Deuce McBride, so valuable, stuffing that stat sheet. And we need to keep Deuce McBride, man, at all costs as well. He's just one of those guys that can play with the starters. He can finish games out. He can be that spark off the bench. He's younger than Malcolm Brogdon. He's younger and better than Jordan Clarkson. I know we made some nice upgrades with those guys over Precious and over Campaign, DeLon Wright, etc. But nobody were brought in off the bench as an upgrade over Deuce McBride. He's still that guy, and he's letting y'all know. He's letting the front office know that he's still that guy. So shout out to Deuce, gets the first game ball. And we have some other news, right? So Abu Dhabi, it's quite the affair right now, as we have the dignitaries and people travel over and celebrate the game. We have Commissioner Adam Silver together with Knicks owner and chairman James Dolan, right? Are they building relations? Are they talking about expansion? Right, would love to be a fly on the wall. And apparently those guys were in a solid embrace, and obviously celebrating this festivity, bringing the game overseas, making some money, NBA making money, New York Knicks making money, that oil money coming in from Abu Dhabi. What to make of that, ladies and gentlemen? So, yeah, that was interesting. I didn't know Adam Silver was over there, fam. So that's interesting and something to pay attention to moving forward, right? We still haven't really heard the outcome. To come to think of it, I don't think we've heard the outcome of the Toronto Raptors league investigation, fam. You know, the Knicks wanted it to go to external mediation or arbitration with the lawyers. I think they pushed back and said, no, the NBA needs to handle it. So we got another super chat with Jason B. Salute, got us buzzing, says, I still think Huck should be playing at the 5 on the bench. I think there's a case on balance in terms of like for like rotations that Huck should be the 10th guy, Jason. So the way we look at the depth chart, I read it the same as you do. I look at Mitch as a 5, and I look at the true backup 5 as Huck Porty with my graphic. Yeah, Katz can play a 5 at times, but he's our starting power forward. Yabusele has been brought in. Until we see more of a sample, we don't really know what that looks like as a 5, and it might not be pretty, defensively. And obviously Pacome at the start, which I like as well. That tells me that, Mike Brown's going for kind of a like for like. OG's out. He could have put Deuce in there. He could have put Hart. But he went with Pacome Dardier, another wing with the size that OG brings. So already I'm feeling what Mike Brown is thinking, right? Sometimes, Tibbs would, let's say OG was out, he would go to something different. And I like the sticking to the positional size element as well. It's just unfortunate Pacome just didn't hit those shots early. But yeah, Jason, you're preaching to the choir here, because Huck Porty, I've been Huck Porty high of day one. Scouted him, locally before he came into the NBA, in the NBL, covering some NBL events. I was, aware of, fully across his potential, his game. And I think today, man, he was a clear standout. He's a clear standout. Now, if there's one small concern with our 5s is Mitch. Again, how many minutes can he play? How is that going to look throughout the up and down season? And I think our starters just need to slow it down a little bit. but keep the ball moving, right? Pick and roll, find Mitch on the lobs. But the other thing is Huck Porty as well, unfortunately, has dealt with a couple of injuries, so hopefully he can shake those off and become real consistent with his grind, fam. So, I mean, yeah, all in all, I think a solid hit out first game, and I look forward to the second one. Look forward to seeing trends. The ball movement in the half court was better. Uh, the starters didn't necessarily, run and gun like, anything crazy, anything too different. But the shots really weren't falling. We were grabbing the rebounds, and we were looking for those opportunities to run the break, like Cat here. Uh, yeah, Graz says if the question is, it isn't if Mitch should start. That's kind of a lock, I think. It is if Mitch gets injured, does Huck start? Um, I think it's might even be opponent dependent, but I would love to see Huck start next to Cat. Again, Cat can stay as a 5 with the bench unit. If Mitch or Huck, the starter 5, comes out the game, then Cat can shuffle to the 5, and you bring Yabusele in, or I would like to see that. I would like to see Cat feast maybe against bench lineups. We'll see, but obviously there's some non-negotiables with Mike Brown, and that's defensively. You must secure the rebound. You got to look at getting those stops, right? As good as we want to be offensively, if we're in shambles defensively, that's not going to fly under Brown still. So I think he will look to to shuffle Cat around and give those more defensive-minded guys a chance and balance these lineups. Chris liked Pacome defensively. Can't just rely on offensively small guards for everything, folks. Yeah, you just got to knock down those shots. But yeah, I like the thought process from Mike Brown going with the size of Pacome Dardier. Had a nice finish at the basket. First game in, he probably just had some nerves. Maybe he wasn't expecting to start. We'll see how that plays out. But one of the things that this is all for, and preseason, what I like to see, guys, is preparation. Because now's the time to try different scenarios and things like Pacome starting in a game that doesn't mean anything, right? When the season begins, with Thibodeau, he thought maybe, okay, these games, we need to win. I can't experiment too much. But guess what? Preseason is all about experimenting and trying different things. And so if you are going to give Kolek some more minutes and Pacome, Huck Porty, now's the time. I can't preach this enough. Now's the time to get these guys these minutes, right? Let them shake off the dust, the cobwebs, the nerves, and let them get, find a groove and feel comfortable. Because, going back to the starters, I like the minutes allocation. These guys don't need to be playing any more than 20, especially in the first game. These guys don't need to be playing any more than 20. Look at tonight, Hart, 7 minutes, he gets hurt. It's unfortunate. You hate to see it, but it's a competitive ball game, and anything can happen. Anything can happen. OG's already got a sprained hand. So getting a look at Dardier right now is excellent. Getting a look at him and seeing what he's got is excellent. Johnny liked what he saw from Brogdon, showed he is a natural, pure point guard. His role is needed. Yeah, I thought Brogdon got a pass for me, fam. He was definitely better than Clarkson at his role. Clarkson couldn't find an assist, but finished 4 of 9, forced a couple of tough shots. But look, we need Clarkson scoring. He's going to be that upgrade over Campaign. But yeah, Miles McBride, man, he comes in as like the 5th starter, the 6th starter, basically. He's going to come in as a 6th man still. But yeah, as long as Brogdon just plays a steady game, I'm with it, fam. I'm not looking for 6th man of the year Brogdon, because I think that guy is gone. that was 3 years ago, and his body just ain't the same. But if he can be that, 18 minutes a night, maybe 20, 25, depending how the game is going, and set the table. So 2 assists tonight from Brogdon and got us a steal and a block. Right, so stuffing the stat sheet in limited minutes. 2 dimes, a block, and a steal. Unfortunately, got 2 turnovers, +6, but knocked down one of his threes as well. Chris has agreed with Huck Porty. Bob says, I like the double big. It slowed down the offense early, but we can control the glass early and better. Prezi says Mitch should play 24. Max spread the other 24 between Huck and Cat, and a splash of Yabu. Definitely, fam. And yeah, I want to give that honourable shout out to Diawara. Again, couldn't finish his buckets, but 3 rebounds, and put the ball on the floor. Looked comfortable out here. Now Kevin McCullough, 0 of 6. Couldn't find a rhythm, but finished with 5 rebounds, solid, 1 assist, and 3 steals. So, yeah, Kevin McCullough in mop-up duty showed his tenacity on the glass and getting those steals, deflections. Matt Ryan, nothing to see there, really. Trey Jemison was quite intriguing late in the game. Finished 2 of 3, couple of rebounds, 1 offensive. Which was good. Yabu, couple of rebounds as well. His defense looked solid. So I think a guy tried to post up Yabu, and man, he just did not move. He was like a brick wall, right? As you see Pacomb's acrobatic finish. Yeah, Jason says it too. Trey Jemison looked very active. He was also physical. I think Trey Jemison's going to be a solid find on the 2-way. I'm glad that we've got him around. You never know what happens with the bigs. I felt like we did need to add another big, and shout out to the front office for finding Trey Jemison. Paula says, exactly, CT. Now's the time to play these bench guys, to see what you have and how they fit. 100%, man. Even Deuce felt like we didn't experiment enough in the regular season last season. So put it this way, preseason is all about experimenting, trying things for the reg season, and the reg season is all about trying things and, over the course of 82, prepare for the playoffs. That's how it should go, fam. And you reward guys that take their opportunities, and you keep those guys hungry. You keep those guys fighting for more. Right. Yeah, Johnny Davis says, yeah, you don't want to see those injuries, but you're right, CT. These guys have to be ready when called on. Yeah, and that's, fundamentally 101. If I'm coaching this team preseason, that's what I'm doing, what Brown did today. So I'm pleased in that regard. Empty the bench. Let guys, free guys, they're overseas. Let them play. Let them play, fam. I hope they get to play in the second game, maybe even in the third game. Now, the fourth and fifth game, they might start to tighten it up, but it's good to see these guys get some minutes now. No doubt it's been a grueling training camp. Mike Brown's got these guys running suicides if they miss free throws, sprints, and obviously some of these guys are probably nursing some aches, some knocks and all of that. But this is the perfect way to counteract that, expand that rotation. That's exactly what we heard was going to happen, guys. The talk was that Brown is going to practice more. There's not going to be as many off days as Tibbs. However, for the actual games and on game day, he is going to expand that rotation so that guys, hopefully are more fresh, which was great. But yeah, I could see some intriguing looks with Garrison Matthews, Huck Porty, Diawara off the bench with with Deuce and with Brogdon. Our depth is crazy. Our depth really is good. If a guy hasn't got it going, there's no excuses now. Look to the next guy. And who would have predicted that Pacome Dardier, got the start? But many people would have predicted that Deuce McBride would have been a standout, man. Because Deuce is just consistent. If there's anything to say about Deuce McBride, yeah, he's arguably one of our most consistent players, Yeah, his highs ain't always like Jalen Brunson high, but often his lows aren't, low at all. He's very, very solid, and he gives you, consistency defensively, always solid, offensively, really consistent, knocking down open shots over the last 2 seasons now. Now, people sort of feeling like he's going to get a bag, right? But we don't have to worry about that right now, man. It's all about winning that championship for this season. I'm not thinking about the future for Deuce McBride, man. If he wants to get to free agency, I'm with it. I don't care. Just keep him around, get the best out of Deuce McBride, and help us win right now. I don't care that he might have the most value in a possible trade. He's too valuable for us to give up. He's just too valuable right now. Shout out to Wayne. Carlos is in the building. J-Dub, salute. Wayne says Huck Porty seems to have gotten better defensively with his quickness. The refs called him on a few bad fouls. Yeah, he's aggressive. He's an aggressive defender, and I like that. Yeah, he was picked up for a couple of ticky-tack fouls. Last season, we all know he kind of was a little ill-disciplined. Hopefully, he can correct that, with the coaching staff. What did you guys think about VJ Edgecombe? I thought he was a solid debut. 14 points. Him and Quentin Grimes are going to be a nice kind of combo, I think, together with Maxey, fam. Paul George might have to play some 4 minutes this season for them. If I'm Philly, I'm looking at getting VJ, Quentin Grimes, Tyrese Maxey. Kelly Oubre is going to play quite a bit. They don't have the depth. They don't have the depth to withstand a long season, right? Philly might be a play-in team, Not trying to throw shade at Philly right now. I just don't see them a lock for the playoffs. They might be a play-in. Their depth is concerning with all of their, injury concerns. Yeah, I love a physical big man. Like Jason says, I like the depth with our big, same archetype, athletic, physicality. Wayne says I was impressed with McCullough. He just didn't put the ball in the cup. IQ is there, though. I think Brown sees that. Yeah, I think it started off on the right foot with McCullough. Summer League, he had that 30 piece, and then I think he got shut down or he got hurt. But Mike Brown was there courtside in Vegas to see McCullough impress. And I think, 5 rebounds, steal, and a couple of blocks as well. I really like what he's all about, McCullough. Now, he's older, but he's a plug-and-play guy. He's ready right now. He's situational, but if you need back-to-backs, someone gets hurt, next man up. McCullough might see some opportunities this season, right? When Huck Porty got his chance, he stepped up. Now, he's a different kind of guy to Garrison Matthews, who, if you need offense, you'll go with Landry or Garrison Matthews. If you need someone gritty and, let's say, we just don't have it on a back-to-back and we're in a funk, throw McCullough out there, I think McCullough's defense is higher than Dardier's right now. J-Dub says the Knicks seem so dangerous. They are so deep and explosive. Our depth will be our strength. Yep. Depth will be our strength, I think, this season. And yeah, if you see these minutes spread around this season, I'm loving it. Especially with less usage on Brunson. Now, I'm glad that Mike Brown said this too, right? Mike Brown said, look, Brunson's still going to be Brunson in crunch time. And it's, you can't go away from one of the best clutch crunch players in the league. right? You can't go away from that. With 3 minutes to go, it's going to be a Brunson affair. Best believe that. But there's no reason for 3 quarters before that. You can't let other guys step up and get their shine and rest Brunson, spread the ball around, share the love. And obviously we have better 3-point shooting now. We could get easier points. There's no need to be grinding for these tough buckets that we used to, grind to have to get, for the first 3 quarters, man. Sometimes it was a slugfest against the likes of Charlotte, Washington, Chicago gave us fits, man. I think we lost every regular season game against Chicago. So that has to be rectified. And I think for anyone thinking we could get maybe more than 51 wins, you're absolutely correct. Because we did lose a lot of games that we should not have lost last season, right? Now, take into account, we lost all of those games against Oklahoma, Cleveland, Boston, and Lakers and all of the heavy hitters. So you think we're going to pick up a couple more wins against those teams, hopefully. But also we left some wins on the board, against those bad teams as well. And look, there's probably some nights where we just don't even need to play 2 starters. Let's say OG's able to go, but back to back, big win the night before, and we're playing Washington on the second night. Hey, just let another guy rock. Rest OG for the next one. We can do that now. Last season, not so much because our bench was super shallow. Shout out to Uriak. I know it's one game, but it was so sweet seeing that ball flow move today. It was great to see the Knicks become a third quarter team again, and I hope that translates. So shout out to Yuri. Yeah. As I pull up the wire to wire, it was pleasing to see us take control, fam, of the second, third quarters. And I think, yeah, with different lineups, I think we're going to see us take care of business. We mean business. After halftime, the Knicks put on the Jets and controlled the game. Now, look, we're playing against a pretty average opponent. Like I said, I think Philadelphia will be fighting for a playoff / play-in spot. Now, every year there's a team that comes out of nowhere and surprises. It could be, let's say it could be Charlotte, it could be Washington, pick up a couple of extra wins. And then next thing you know, Philadelphia's in a dogfight. Maybe Milwaukee comes out the blocks racing. So I think if I'm Philadelphia, man, I need Embiid healthy. Otherwise, I think they're going to struggle with their depth. Ricardo says, I'm not sure what the hype is all about with Pacome. He doesn't look like anything special. I think the fans feel obviously the archetype, the size, the length, the shot mechanics. It has all the makings of a guy who, could potentially be a high level rotation player, starter, a starting level wing. Right now he's not there yet, but could he give you 10 minutes, play solid defense right now? He can, I think, but his shot is hit and miss. And I do think that, hopefully he can just get some opportunities and shake off some of the rust and see if he can, force his way in, get comfortable. But right now he's got some guys that he's got to beat out, Hart, I think Mike Brown is still hesitant to start Hart, right? Especially if he wants to start Mitch. We all know you can't really play Hart with Mitch. So that's something to really look out for, guys. So that leaves, that decision to make is quite simple, right? If OG is out, you can't really put Hart in there because Mitch is starting. So if OG's out, you need a shooter. So is it Landry? Is it a guard like Brogdon or a Deuce? Do you just need a corner shooter like Garrison Matthews? Or is it Dardier or Diawara or McCullough forcing his way in? So, yeah, I do think Hart is kind of being really looked at as a bench piece now. I think well and truly. and I think he can thrive still. Margaret says Atlanta might be good. I think they will be good. You know, they're not kind of my surprise team. I think they will be solid. Ricardo says the Raptors. Yeah, the Raptors is a good one. Raptors could be a team that stays healthy. You know, IQ, RJ. I did cop RJ's comments talking about a former team. He was feeling like a former team that he was on, you know, was playing a little selfish. Um, but I'm not really thinking about RJ Barrett too much right now. I wish him the best. It just wasn't the best fit, and I understand. You know, he was the third wheel. You know, no one's happy being the third wheel. You know, he wanted to spread his wings and fly, and the Knicks sent him back home. Right. Randall was ball dominant. Brunson was ball dominant. You know, RJ was never going to be able to get the on-ball reps. You know, he's an on-ball guy. But let's see what happens with the Raps. Yeah, this is my depth chart right now, man. I'm looking at Brogdon as a pure point guard. I'm looking at Clarkson as maybe the third string, right? I feel like Deuce, I want him off ball. I feel like Deuce needs to play the 2, not the 1. He needs to play the 2 on the bench and let his, you know, two-way play, running and gunning, and off-ball catch lead the way off the bench, right? But I do need Clarkson to look to pass more. I need him to get some assists, right? Brogdon's health is a question, right? So does Tyler Kolek enter the room? That's something to pay attention to as well. We've got depth at the wing spot now with Diawara. We've got depth at the big man spot defensively, and obviously we've got the shooters with Landry and Garrison, McCullough as well for defensive purposes. Man, we are good. We are built to sustain some injuries. Knock on wood, nothing major. But if guys need to sit out, rest a little bit, you know, I think we need to give a guy a chance to step up, man, and spread these minutes out, ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, Deuce McBride, does he deserve a shot to start? Pacome didn't take his chance tonight. Mike Brown might not like the size element. I know Jason said earlier, you know, we'll lose the rebounding battle. That's one of the things why Thibodeau, you know, wasn't really a fan of starting Deuce. But it might also be a fact that Deuce is just so good off the bench, and you need scoring when Brunson is out. You know, he's ever steady, ever reliable. Shout out Travel Vibes, man. Hewlett, Samuel in the building. Salute. I'm good, man. I'm blessed. Hope everyone's blessed out here and enjoying the night. And great to have Knicks basketball back. One more game at 11 a.m. on basically on Friday, and then we'll get at it, fam. Sorry, Saturday, I think, and then we'll get at it back to 7:30 tips back in New York against Minnesota. I kind of hate these games against the same opponent, but I'm looking forward to the third game. I'm really looking forward. By the third game, I'm really going to be buzzing, fam, because yeah, it's going to be at the Mecca. The crowd is going to be out. Preseason crowd is great, but it's going to be against Dante, Randall, and it's going to be up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, a championship contending team. You know, so for what it's worth, we got up 39 threes. We only shot 20%, but a lot of guys I expect to shoot a lot better. You know, Yabu, Landry, and obviously Pacome left a lot of open shots out there. I like the rebounding. Obviously, when Mitch is out there, that's a big plus. The ball movement was good. I think we can get a lot more assists. We probably should have had 25 assists tonight if guys hit their shots. Look, 99 points. I think that's on a bad night. I think we're gonna average over 110, no doubt about it, this season, right? We're gonna average maybe 115, 110, maybe more than that. We'll see how that all plays out. Johnny says, I prefer most of the lesser players over Pac-Man. He's not shown much to warrant being that keeper yet. I think, yeah, if you want to be that wing, you really need to be knocking down shots, Johnny, in the NBA. Otherwise, you're just a defensive specialist, and then it's tricky. Then they might cheat off of you like Josh Hart. I think with shooters now with Landry and Garrison, um, we'll see. We might need to play a little bit smaller with Deuce and some other shooters, and we need the floor spaced out for the other guys. So theoretically, Pacome fits with the size and the length, but he's got to knock down those shots, fam. But you do have Midi Macau. OG is going to be back soon, and obviously the shooting is going to get better, fam. Uh, Now I need Cat and I need Yabusele to hit those shots as well from downtown. Uh, yeah, Brogdon will make it as long as he's healthy. Ricardo, I agree. Uh, Jason says there's definitely some talented teams in the East, but we are the best team in the East if healthy. Can tell me the team is hungry to make it to the finals. Yep, I think everything's sort of breaking right for the Knicks the way I see it. We've got fresh voices, fresh philosophy in the coaching ranks. We got the vibes of the fan base, but we also have the depth now to play more guys. And I think I can't. It's so understated how much playing an extended rotation is going to help you in the regular season. Even if it's just that little bit more, guys are fresh. Guys can withstand the 82 grind, right? And I think the front office really understands that now. That's why they want to get to these 15 men. You know, look at these guys out here going hard. If you can get the roster to 15 men, and you can trust 13 of those 15 or 12 of those 15, you're in a really good spot because we all know guys miss occasional time, things happen. Um, but if you've got more guys that you can go to, I think that's key. Um, and I think our roster is so much deeper, even all the way to the two ways. This season, fam. So I think that's our biggest strength right now is our depth. Uh, Atlanta's that dark horse. There's a pocket Knicks. Yep. Yeah, I'm not sleeping on Atlanta, man. I think they're going to be good, man. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, those guys are some dogs, out there. They're hungry. Uh, any way for us to keep Matthews, says Carlos. There is definitely, but he might need to wait it out till March, fam. And I think the Knicks have shown that can be loyal to guys, if they produce in the preseason. But like last season with Landry, if we can't fit them on, we might say, hey, go to Westchester and stick around and we'll bring you in. And I think Matthews is that leading guy. If there is a reason to trade someone, not named Kolek to help get to that 15 guys to get Matthews on, then I think that's a real possibility now from what we're seeing. I mean, once a flamethrower, always a flamethrower. And that boy can shoot it. That boy can shoot the lights out. Right. Like in the key words of Alan Hahn, we don't need shot takers. We need shot makers. Fam, it's all good to shoot. Right. We don't want people shooting blanks out here. You need to make the defense pay. Chefs in the building says those pack shots will fall. Fans said the same thing about Deuce. But the fact that he can guard Maxi and then guard Oubre, he has a bright future and he's very active on both sides. Yeah, he fits that defensive role for now. But yeah, I hope those shots can fall for him because we're really looking at a player that can be a real two-way guy. But right now, I'm seeing better playmaking from Diawara, to be honest. Diawara looks more confident, as you just saw there, putting the ball on the deck and getting to his spots, getting to the rack. Now maybe it has a lot to do with his extra size and length. I mean, if you're 6'10", 6'11", like Diawara, with a 9-foot standing reach, you're going to be confident getting your shots at the rack. But I would love to see Dardier with that confidence as well. Nice little spin move from Kolek. Looks like he's been working on that move. Getting to that spot. Little hezzy. Fake dribble handoff. Misses that one. But McCullough, mop up duty. McCullough, man, has a high motor, and so does Huckporty. So I think our shout out to our draft class of last 2 seasons back with McCullough, Huckporty. A lot of these guys got energy to bring it. Hopefully they can take their shot and it translates. Yeah, some shooting coaches, Margaret, getting with Pacome would be awesome. Hopefully that's been, in the works. And I do think that, they're probably trying to get a real look at Pacome like they did today. Nostalgic Nick says, new look Knicks. Good job, Mike Brown, on the lineups. 100% agree. Shout out Nostalgic Nick. I like what I saw from Mike Brown with the lineups today. Didn't throw hard in the starting lineup. Tried something different with OG out and went with the Pac-Man. Now, if OG's out for the second game, and I'm going to predict that he probably is with the hand sprain, does he try Pacome again and just, hey, we'll give you one more shot? Or does he look to Deuce McBride or something different? Right. Now, a part of me can make the case that, okay, Deuce would be more effective. We've seen that, though. We have the data. We already know that that's effective, and we can go to that in the future. We already know that that's a good look. Does he use the second game to say, hey, before I go back to a Deuce McBride in the starting lineup or playing him with the starters, let me try this again with Pacome, or let me try someone else, another shooter. Does he try Yabu? Will he try a Landry or a Garrison even to get some spacing? And I'm not going to kill him if he doesn't go to Deuce, because I know that's good and he knows that's a good look. But we could still need Deuce off the bench. So if OG can't go, obviously Mitch is starting now, but for OG's replacement, I would go. I would give Pacome another shot. I would give him one more game. In this second game, and just see what it looks like. Otherwise, try Landry. Try Landry. AP says, anyone think Josh Hart days are numbered? Shout out to AP. No, I can't really say that right now. I think Hart's here for the long haul. I think he's that glue guy off the bench right now. But look, after this season, if we can't win a championship this season, then I think some tough decisions might need to be made. But I think for this season, he's safe. He's definitely safe. Prezi says, yeah, Matthews can be signed as that 15th guy if we can free up that extra space. Yeah. But it is going to have to be a trade not named Tyler Kolek. It's going to have to be Pacome. It's going to have to be Pacome or Deuce. And we know that's most likely not going to happen in the case of Deuce, especially now. So, league sources are telling, James L. Edwards of The Athletic that Pacome Dardier has been one of the guys most discussed, right? So Dardier got his shot tonight. They really want to take a look at him. But I think they really want to get that 15th guy on the squad. And if they only trade Kolek, we're only $44,000 below the second apron. And we can't get that 15th guy. So, again, that's why I'm not getting paid the big bucks. Those guys need to make that tough decision. What it's all about, fam, being in that front office, fam. But look, I trust that they'll make the right call. Right now, for me, Garrison Matthews looks like a guy you need. Right? It's just how the NBA is going right now. Yeah, we love tenacious defense. We love lockdown defense of the 80s and 90s. But you need those three-point makers as well. Now, is there a case where Garrison could just take Landry's spot? Yeah, there's probably a small chance, but I can't see Garrison supplanting Landry. I could see both of them making it, but I can't see Shamit missing out. I think they like Landry. They like him enough, and I think he will stay. Brogdon, the only way he doesn't stay is if he gets banged up, And today he looked solid, playing a small role, but looked like that point guard that we need off the bench. And so for now, he's here. And I think the logical thing is that it's Kolek or Dardier. That's what I think is going to happen. Shout out to Garrison Matthews and Huck Porty. I think they were a standout for me. McCullough looked solid. I want to see more from Clarkson and Yabu in the next one. The starters as well. Hopefully, can get off to a faster start, and we'll keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen. That about wraps it up for the first post game of preseason game number 1. Glad you could rock out with us in this one, man, for the primetime post game. We've got one more game that's at 11 a.m. tip, fam, on Saturday. Second game against Philly again. Let's continue this experiment. Continue to experiment, Mike Brown, right? I don't need to see the starters too much. Hopefully we can continue to see some of these guys fighting for the camp spots and rotation spots, right? Huck Porty's made a great claim, right? Garrison Matthews and Deuce McBride have made their claim. Let's see what happens with Landry and Pacome, and maybe a guy like a Diawara, McCullough. I think Philly's going to shake things up. They're going to mix it up, with no Embiid currently. But yeah, everyone bless up, big up. Appreciate y'all and the comments and questions in this one. Shout out to Replay Squad as well. Shout out to Jason Benjamin with the super chat contributions and questions as well. And everyone out here, again, like and subscribe to the stream. And we'll see you, man, on Saturday, right? I will be live post-game right after the game, fam. I will be live right after the game on Saturday, right? And then we'll have 4 days to break, and the Knicks will be back in New York City. And I'm excited for that third game against Minnesota, because that's where I really think we're going to start to see a lot of Mike Brown and his wrinkles in this one. And shout out to Kat for that massive throwdown in that one. I thought Kat was running the floor well today, and the half-court ball movement was a good sight, was a plus in this one too. So yeah, peace everyone. Salute.